Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Hey everyone, welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm MaK.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are doing our CHIPPI review for
Lost Cities.
the original card game.
The original card game.
Whatever.
With one E.
Yeah, but it's by Mr. Reiner Knizia.
I believe it's Dr. Knizia.
It doesn't say anything on the but just
It also does not say Mr.
Is he German?
He is.
So,
I think.
Herr Knizia.
I think he's German. He's Herr Knizia now, but what's the word for doctor? I didn't remember.
Doctor.
Did we ever go over doctor?
I don't know.
I don't think we ever learned that one.
I think it's doctor.
So it's going to be Herr Knizia.
Yes, it's Herr Knizia. Let's jump into it. Core mechanics.
Yeah, so it's a two-player only game.
Mm-hmm.
The core mechanics, I gave it a 7.5
Okay.
because I like the way in the game that you are forced to put the cards in order. So in the game there's 5 different colors, or it can be 6 if you want a longer game.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like these 3 handshakes or multiplier cards, 1 or 3 for each color. And then there's the numbers 2 through 10. And in the game, you have to put them in order. I like how you have to make those decisions on, should I play a 4, knowing then I can no longer play any of those multipliers, or the 2 or 3 at that point. Kind of just, I like how that works. And also I like how the multipliers work, where you can put them down, but if you don't actually score well in that category, they can work against you as well.
Right, and be negative.
Right. And yeah, there's just the push your luck aspect to the game, where you can kind of start new expeditions, but you have to get to 20 points at least, because if you don't, you won't score points. So it can be fine if you don't have any of those multipliers, but if you have a lot, then it can be very bad for you.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5 as well. So look at us on the same page. Yeah, I agree. I think it's intriguing and frustrating though if you're not getting the cards that you need, because then your decision making takes a whole nother path, and there's just something you can't really account for is chance. I mean, I'm sure if you have a mathematical brain, you can probably figure out the statistical probability of you getting this card or certain colored cards, but most people don't play it that way, and so you're just stuck, flipping a card, taking a card, letting go of a card, and then realizing after the fact, well, now that I've had 11 purples, then I didn't keep one of them. I probably should have used them. And I like that it's limited decisions. I mean, you have cards in your hand, and so you really only can use those, draw a card, or take one that's in front of you. And so I think that's really nice just to have that limited decision, because it makes the focus so much more heightened on the decision, and which is good, and it also is just very simplistic.
Right.
So
yeah, there's a simple nature to the core of the game, just to play a card and pick up a card.
But
it's
intriguing in how you choose what to do, and watching your opponent, and see, okay, well, they laid down the 4 of blue, so now I'm safe to lay down
to get rid of
to get rid of a 3 or whatever,
Yeah, and that can suck when that happens too, when you have a few high numbers of a card, you're waiting for a multiplier, and your opponent has held those the entire game.
Yeah, you've got
and then you finally play it, and then they just lay down 2 or 3 of those, and you're like, dang it, I knew you had it.
Yeah, or you got like 3 high cards in your hand, and you just see your opponent lay all the low ones, and you're like, great, now what am I going to do?
Right.
So.
Yeah.
History?
I've got a history of 10. I've played it at least 10 times. On Board Game Arena now, I've probably played it over 100 times.
This is not going to be fair.
In Board Game Arena, it's only single games, so it's not like the 3 you typically play. But yeah, those ones can go like 3 to 5 minutes, so it makes it really quick to be able to play a lot of it.
I'm going to be no match for you now, because I don't play it that much, but I still put a 10, because I think I've played it enough times if you count the 3 game.
Yeah.
pieces of it.
Mhm.
So, investment. I put a 7. I feel like there is limited replayability because it's essentially the same game. It's just what order the cards come out of. There is, in the edition, we have a 6th civilization. Expedition, whatever, that you can use. So that adds a different level to it. I mean, same thing, just an additional option to use. And so I like that. It's easy setup. You just shuffle the cards and away you go.
Right, yeah. I gave it an 8 just because, yeah, I think the game is very fast. And, yeah, you shuffle the cards and start right up. You just place the board out there. There's literally nothing else you have to do to set the game up outside of you need your own scoring sheet as well. So I guess that's the other thing. You had to go find a pen.
Paper.
Go finding a pen and paper is going to take you longer than setting up the rest of the game. But no, I agree that it can feel kind of samey after. That's why it's an 8 versus like a 9 or 10. It just can feel samey after after so many plays, hundreds of plays, like myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm surprised you have it rated higher than I do because you played it more. So I would have felt like you would have seen the replayability and then put it down lower. But I haven't played as much, and mine's lower. So maybe I'm just more severe, more critical.
Yeah, and there's some luck involved in the game as well, which can
what you start with, what comes out. Yeah,
but.
That's
Otherwise,
true.
yeah, I think it's a very solid
Yeah.
investment just because how fast the game is. It's really, you won't waste a ton of time playing it.
Yeah, and if you're playing a 2, so this kind of goes, I guess we're going into preference now with my comments, but with an 8, what I was going to say is, if you play a lot of 2-player or you have, just one partner that you're normally playing with, like we do, I feel like this is a good staple to have. I mean, it's different from Fox in the Forest where it's more than just trick-taking, but at the same time, it's still that good level of intriguing card game play, which I really like. So, I like it, except I find the scoring very difficult to understand.
Luckily you have me.
Not very difficult, because without Zach, I'm sure I'd be able to figure it out, but because of him, I don't have to. But I know we've played a couple of games wrong where I scored myself or you scored myself or me, and it was just like totally wrong, and it's marked down forever.
Yeah, I have a preference of 7.5. I think it's one of the top 2-player only games that we have for sure, and yeah, it's one that I always prefer. But if I'm looking for a game on Board Game Arena and no one's really playing anything that I like, this is one that there's almost always someone playing it. And I'll play it in the competitive mode thing. But so that's usually when I'll take it out. I don't know how much we take it out anymore.
Well, it's been not here for a while, so. And I think we're preoccupied right now with our 10x10 too. So that probably. So to jump back up to presentation, I gave it a 7, which is still good. I just knocked it down because the cards are really big, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. I feel like the cards themselves are beautiful. I love that if you lay out all the cards from 2 to 10, it like shows you an actual lost city, which I think is super just great. I don't think like presentation is really there. I don't understand like the handshake multiplier, like why that's the artwork kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's great overall. It's just a couple little things that just kind of keep it down for me. And I don't know that I think the big cards are a bad thing because it makes it really easy to see and make, decisions and good to hold. But at the same time, sucky shuffle, kind of hard to hold sometimes.
Well, that actually bumped it up from a 7 to a 7.5 for me. It's the good quality cards and them being bigger. I usually I don't want like.
He doesn't like to wear his glasses if he has to read something.
I don't know why, but yeah, for bigger cards, these are like the perfect ones for like shuffling and stuff. There's some big cards that get like really wide too, and then that's not quite as good. I like this. I like the size of these cards. I don't I'm not as big a fan of the artwork. I mean, it's so-so. I do like that, yeah, if you lay them out, that it's nice
But
picture.
otherwise, it's just legit. Just you're looking at a color and a number.
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, which is surprising because I think I said before I really like color in games, and that's pretty much all this is with the cards. And for some reason, it doesn't do anything special for me. It doesn't like put me off from the game, but it just is.
Well, and I think
So-so.
you're so hyper focused on what the number is and then your move that you're not really even seeing what's on the card.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there are little things on there, but unless you're specifically looking at the card for what the design is, you're just not even going to notice it. It's just going to be a solid color, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and lastly, I thought the box size is about perfect for what the game is. I mean, it kind of doesn't fit in perfectly with the other games, but at the same time, I wouldn't want it to be a Ticket to Ride size box, so at least they didn't do that.
yeah, I kind of wished it was like more Japir sized.
Yeah.
Just so it's more travel friendly. Not that it's bad, but
No,
I mean,
that's true.
I think about going somewhere with it, and I know that the board is maybe a little, thicker because you have to lay the card on there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if they could have just, made it a little skinnier. But
Yeah, that is true. It factor, I gave it a 6. I think it's one that can be played extremely quickly compared to some other ones, but it's also got some thinkiness to it sometimes. I feel like there's times where you have to make decisions, and that will kind of affect how you play from that point forward. Like you can be like, do I wait one more to play this card, or do I play it? Because then once you play it, you're like, well, if I play this, I've got my next 3 moves planned out because I've got the 7, 8, 9. So if I play the 6,
which you have to do because it's like you draw a card, and that's not a guarantee, and you can pick up a card. That's also, might not be a guarantee.
right?
So.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought of that for the core mechanics, but that's an interesting thing too, where you can look to see how many cards are left of the deck because that's what triggers the end of each round, and kind of that feeling when you can hold them as long as you want, but because you get a hand of 8 cards, but once the deck runs out, you're done. So you also want to get them played, so you can only wait so long before you're like, I got 7 cards in my hand that I need to play, and there's only 10 or 11 cards left.
And your opponent's staring you down like, I'm done.
Right.
And you're like, no, take some from the top, or from the board. I also gave it a 6. I like the give and take aspect of it. You play a card, take a card, kind of the whole thing we've been talking about, like when do I play this card. I don't really like to play games based on like what others are doing at the table, but this one you have to be pretty aware of what your opponent is doing, which I find just kind of meshes the whole game together. I mean, to be fair, it is a card game. It's intriguing, but I don't know that it's something you couldn't do with like a deck of cards, potentially, or a modified deck. So, it is just a card game, but a pretty one and intriguing one.
Yeah, it's true. You could probably take like the Jack, Queen, King as your multipliers, and then
and the suit.
do the suits.
Yeah. The only difference is I think this is a 5 card hand, or a 5 suit, I guess, color.
Right, 5 suits.
So you'd be 1 or 2 suits short on that, but yeah, play it with 5 crowns cards or something.
There you go.
So my overall is a 7.6.
Ooh, my overall is a 7.8. And I was told at the beginning of this that I would have the lowest rating out of everyone.
Well, if you've watched our top 50 videos,
yeah,
this one is ranked higher for me.
that is true.
Than it is for you.
You and Jesse both had on your list, and I did not.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because of how much I played it on Board Game Arena.
Yeah.
I think it just, I don't know. I probably ended up putting more games on there that I had like, I want to know more about this game. I want to play it more and get to know it more. Whereas this one, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what this game is, like inside and out at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gave it a 7.8. The only knocks that I have on it are it can be a little samey from game to game. And then, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the coloring or the artwork.
Yeah.
It's not bad artwork, but it just doesn't do anything special for me. It doesn't really make me think I'm actually exploring expeditions or anything. But otherwise, yeah, it's a great, really quick game, a really good 2-player game for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's one I'm
so
glad we
solid.
have in our collection,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Did we make the doctor proud?
Well, I like
The
it.
hair.
I like it better than Arboretum, so I think he'll be happy with me.
That's true. We need to do Arboretum sometime, and then for sure I will not have the lowest. I will hopefully have the highest.
That
rate.
is for sure. For sure.
But otherwise, we will see you next time.
And don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.